Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Teacher Talks, the show where we interview teachers about their high school experiences and our modern high school culture. We are the hosts, Braden Eastwood and Nathan Villarreal.
Today's guest is going to be Miss Sanchez, and she's a science teacher who teaches AP biology and loves her job. Join us as we explore her story and how she became a science teacher.
Hello, Miss Sanchez.
Hello.
How are you?
I am fabulous. Thanks.
Perfect. So we're going to jump straight into it.
Okay.
What was your favorite memory from when you were in high school?
I have a lot of really great memories from high school. I feel really fortunate that I had a super positive high school experience in general. I would say probably my favorite memory was getting to go to the state championship for soccer.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was
Sweet.
pretty awesome. It was even my senior year, and we won. Obviously, we won league, and then we won regionals. It was a really fun year for me. I was one of our leading goal scorers that year and assists, playing center midfield. We just had, like many sports teams that are pretty successful, we had a lot of really great camaraderie on the team. And so that makes it super fun. And there's just nothing better than like those road trips with your teammates. And you don't always get to experience that with high school soccer. I did with travel a little bit more. So to get to do it with my high school teammates was really fun. We got to travel down to College Station, Texas, and being on the bus together with your team. We got to play on Texas A&M's field for our championship game. And it was a tough loss, 1-0, to actually a team that was in our own district. We both made it to state and faced off against our biggest rivals in the state championship. So I would say we have such great memories of just team dinners, goofing off on the bus, getting to be in the hotel, and then ultimately just getting to play at that level, like a state championship in a high school sport, is pretty unbelievable feeling.
And I know, Braden, you are kind of like also in the same area of like
tonight I'll be playing in the D1 championship final for volleyball. So
you can probably attest to what that's like. Like, I mean, I was at the game the other night, and the energy from the parents, from the teams, from just the support from your community, and just watching your teammates on the sideline cheer you guys on, and that energy, there's just nothing quite like that. You can't recreate it anyplace else.
No, it's super special.
Not one bit. Okay, for our second question, were there any memorable teachers that you had in high school or that left a super like strong impression on you that led you into kind of the future?
Absolutely. There are 3 teachers actually that come to mind. Again, I would say super fortunate in just having some really fantastic high school teachers. My high school chemistry teacher was so energetic and had such a passion for teaching chemistry that like it just kind of made everybody in that class love chemistry. So it was like honors AP Chem, and her name was Mrs. Eisenman, and she was just, I can still remember her teaching us different things, and she was very like expressive, and we did a ton of labs that just made it like really engaging. And then same with my anatomy and physiology teacher. She was really good about just a lot of dissections and exploring things and bringing in guest speakers. But probably the most poignant one that, looking back now, even though I didn't originally go to school to become a teacher, my psychology teacher, we all called him Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob was awesome. And we got to do, as part of our psychology class, we got to do 2 things. One was called like peer helpers. And that's where we actually got to work as peer mentors, like in our own school and like mentor other students, which was really cool. But we had to learn about that like in the class and work with each other, which was cool. And then we got to pick a school in our district where we got to go and peer mentor. And I actually peer mentored in a first grade classroom. So we got to go to different classrooms, and I just got so many cool experiences, things I guess you just kind of don't hear about today. Like I got to bring my dog in one day with the first graders, and I got to go with them to like a nursing home, and just some cool experiences in an educational setting that, like, looking back now, kind of ultimately probably set me on the path to becoming a teacher, even though it's not ultimately what I did. I knew that I loved working with kids, and that kind of ignited that passion for sure.
Sweet. I think there are definitely a few memorable teachers that I have gotten from the school. For sure, you being one of them, because I think that having a teacher that's super energetic, not only about what they want to teach, but about kind of helping you learn the material too, is just very helpful. And I think that in college, hopefully, I will find those same teachers. And I've heard from other people that in college, teachers are and professors are normally a lot more passionate about what they want to teach, and so it's right up my alley for sure.
I had the most fantastic college professors. Like my science professors were incredible. I don't know if I'm like infringing on another question. You were kind of talking about high school teachers, but like
Okay.
I went to a smaller school, which is like a really cool experience. My biology
okay.
teacher, the head of the biology department, which is what I majored in, he would have all of the biology majors over for dinner once a
Wow,
semester.
that's
So we
insane.
were like a really tight knit group, all kind of traveling in our classes together. When I was failing physics, my physics professor literally offered me one-on-one tutoring before class. So 2 hours a week, one-on-one tutoring with my physics professor, not like a TA, not another student. So like for me, I just had professors that one really cared about helping you like learn this stuff, not just about like getting good grades. They really wanted you to understand, and just creating some really like unique experiences in that regard. So I always hope that for other kids, that you have at least one professor throughout your college career that you like connect with, and you have kind of a cool experience. Yeah.
You can take
Yeah.
So the next question is going to be, if you were a senior in high school today, what would you do differently after you graduated high school?
Oh, this is a tough one. I I feel like I did some kind of cool stuff. Like I did some senior trips with just some friends. I did a senior trip with like my church. So I would definitely encourage people to travel. I had a lot of working out to do since I was going to be a college athlete. I think like maybe one thing that I don't know what I would have done differently. Probably just knowing what I know now since I went away to college. I focused a lot on spending a lot of time with like my friends and seeing them before I went away. So maybe just my parents, just because I and my grandparents, like maybe spending a little bit more time there, just because then I ended up getting really married really young, like at 20. And so I got married before my senior year of college. And so I didn't come back home again after that. And I lived 2 states away. But there was so much focus on, your friends are spreading across the country. My best friend was going to Missouri, and my boyfriend was staying in Texas, and I was going to Mississippi, and like we were kind of going all over the place. And so, but looking back and kind of knowing what I know now, I might have focused a little bit more on my family, knowing that like, because every summer we came back and was back with my friends at Christmas break and summer and that kind of stuff. So I would just encourage, like, just lean into the people in general that you're really close to, that you're going to miss, while you're gone, whether it's friends or family, but just take that time to build relationships that really are going to last a long time.
For sure. And you can take the last.
Yeah. Our last question is going to be, what's one thing that you wish high school had prepared you better for?
Finances.
Finances.
Well, so you're trying to figure out, like for me, I was trying to figure out like how to pay for school. So I was like working full time when I came home for breaks. I was doing work study while I was at school. My parents didn't have much money for school. So luckily for me, I got a really good scholarship, but I did have to take out some loans. And I would say we did not have a good understanding. My parents took out a horrible loan that I had to pay back with like a variable interest rate and stuff like that. And then, like I said, like I got married really young. So that at 20, my parents were like, oh, you're married. Like you can pay for school and you can pay for this. And like everything became mine. And so I wouldn't say we were like terrible with money, but like we didn't start saving. Like I had saved a lot of my money in college and stuff like that when I was working. But yeah, I think high school, I felt pretty well prepared. Like I felt like I knew how to study. I felt like I knew how to advocate for myself with professors. I really felt like I knew what to expect. I had played sports at a high level, so I felt pretty well prepared for like college sports as well. Like I had coaches, my club coaches and my high school coaches kind of prepared me well for that. So I felt really well prepared in a lot of ways, but like all of a sudden you're kind of on your own a little bit monetarily and you're like trying to figure out how that works. So I would say probably I wish high school had prepared me a little bit better for that.
Especially with the wedding coming up at the end of college.
Yep. Yeah. So that was, and my dad lost his job like right before I was getting married. So like we were trying to really do things on a budget. So yeah, that would probably be what I would say.
And you navigating that, like, did that really kind of, I guess, like, even though you struggled a lot and you may have had a lot of like problems with that, did that struggle kind of help you for later in life? Like afterwards, you knew, okay, I've got this down. Like I know how to manage this if this ever happens again as well.
For sure. You learn like we were really fortunate in that even though I got married young, I was smart enough. My husband's 3 years older than I am. So I was smart enough to say like, yes, I'll marry you, but like you have a year to find a job. So we had a long engagement because we knew we were going to need to support ourselves. And so we were good with that. But yes, then not long after that, he got a job that moved us to Massachusetts and our cost of living doubled from like Mississippi to Massachusetts, right? So our rent was double, like everything was super, like a whole lot more expensive up there. So we definitely took like what we learned from that and applied it to there. And then same thing when we moved from Massachusetts to California, our cost of living almost doubled again. And so we learned that. And then I will say probably the bigger place where we implemented that is like with our own kids. So like we started really young with them. Like when they got money for their birthday, half of it had to go into their savings account, half of it they could keep, right? So trying to instill that idea of like saving money. Anytime they wanted to buy like a big purchase, you had to think on it for 48 hours before you were allowed to buy it, right? So it was like, okay, they would say, Mom, I want to buy this thing. And it's like $100. I'm like, that's a lot of money. 48 hours, we'll talk about it again. They would show it to us. And so my husband's kind of an impulse shop, like buyer, not shopper, but like buyer. And so that was kind of where we had to learn, like before we made any big purchase, it was always a like, think through this. And we've tried to instill that in our kids as well.
That's good.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you, Miss Sanchez. It's been a pleasure interviewing you, and we've got a lot of wisdom for you. So we definitely appreciate that.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you for including me in this. I
Of
love doing
course.
things like this. I think you guys know I love building relationships with
Yes,
kids
of
and love
course.
trying to impart some of my wisdom so they don't pay my same dumb taxes in the future. Let me pay it for you. I've already done it. Learn from my mistakes.
Yes, we definitely appreciate that. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right.